Call this meeting to order, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's do roll call.
Matthew Patinsky.
Karen Warner.
Amy Carney.
Mike Sharkey.
Donna Lewis. Notice is hereby given pursuant to ARS 15-341-37 and Governing Board Policy that a public meeting will be held on February 2nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Governing Board Room located at Coronado High School with this address. I would like to ask Dr. Christine Bono to come up and present information regarding the potential boundary changes.
Thank you. Thank you, President Dr. Lewis, Vice President Mr. Sharkey, Governing Board members, Dr. Menzel and Ms. Wagner. Thanks for allowing us to come tonight. I'm going to be providing a very broad overview so we can make sure we dedicate time for those who want to speak from the public to have their voices heard regarding this potential boundary shift for the current Pima boundary. So I just have a few slides. Again, on Tuesday, when this is an action item, we'll be able to go much more in depth regarding, a deeper dive, if you will. So important to frame that all of our work regarding this process was based on JC, Board Policy JC and JCR. That policy provides the framework for any changes to a school attendance zone, and regarding our having a committee around the notification for not only the work on the front end, but on the back end, the postcards that went out to families on the 23rd and 24th of January. The way our committee started, we ran the committee signups through the committee hub. Was very grateful that we had 3 current Pima parents who live within the Pima boundary participate. They signed up, all 3 participated. We also had a community member from the Pinjamo Yavapai Pueblo Tribal Council, which is a community organization in South Scottsdale. We had participants in the committee, principals from Pima, Navajo, Hohokam, Yavapai, Mojave, Tonalea, and Coronado. We had directors participate, Director David Jacobson from Transportation, Director Sarah Torione from Gifted, Dr. Perninsky from State and Federal, Dr. Williams from Special Ed. Dr. Cindy Bachna was instrumental also in really helping throughout this whole process with helping with the maps and the software. She's been my right hand in all of this. Sheila Cypress from our Native American team also participated in the committee. So on January 14th, we had our first meeting. We initially had 5 boundary options that were being recommended. So we were able to have robust conversation about the 5, which we're going to go into here momentarily. As a result of the conversation, the committee came up with another possibility. So as we indicated to you all on the board, our commitment was having these maps posted by January 15th. We wanted to give the committee a time to meet first. Then we had those posted first thing in the morning on the 15th, which then became all 6 options, and those maps were also posted online. So the committee met again on January 22nd to come to consensus on the options, which I'll review. So in your folder, just to provide some framework, it can get confusing. So I tried to make these, the former kindergarten teacher in me, and a little bit type A, tried to make these as user-friendly as possible. So what you have, there are 2 paper clips. Your first group of papers is the overall current, the map that shows the boundary of Hohokam, Pima, and Yavapai all on the same page. That helps kind of orient to the area that we are speaking of. Then the next page in that packet is the current Pima boundary. Again, that provides a nice framework to say what area are we reviewing. Important to note also, not only are these maps on the website, I have some additional handouts should anyone in the audience maybe want to take a look, but it has the corresponding map there. So that's Pima. Then the next page, and we'll talk about what the recommended option is, which we're calling 3A, and that would distribute the Pima boundary between Hohokam and Yavapai. And that's here on this next slide. Tech, it's not forwarding. Someone's going to forward it for me, I think, perhaps. Oh, there they go. Thank you. So the recommended option and how we got there, that's that first packet of your papers. That's option 3. It keeps the boundary that Pima is currently situated within the Coronado complex. It keeps the boundary within the Coronado complex. It provides for that continuity of the community. It would not require any additional funding for transportation. And when we talk about the other options, the implications that could pose some increased financial obligation if we were to move outside the Coronado complex. And so that was option 3A, which you can see here. Then the next packet of papers you have, again, I gave you another copy of the Pima boundary, so you don't have to keep going back and forth between packets. You'll see the current Pima boundary, and then you'll see the other options that we discussed. Option 1 would divide the current Pima boundary between Navajo and Yavapai. That option was quickly dismissed by the committee as a whole, that it's not very pragmatic, realistic, so the committee felt comfortable removing that from consideration quite quickly within that first meeting. Then you have there are 3 option 2s. There's option 2A. On your paper, it probably just says option 2 without a letter, because originally we just had a couple. So option 2 divides the boundary between Hohokam and Yavapai, but also adds Navajo, and Navajo is within the Saguaro learning community. If we were to include Navajo, that would require realigning the boundary of the whole Saguaro complex. So all the option 2, 2A, 2B, 2C include Hohokam, Yavapai, and Navajo. And then option 3, there was 3A, that was that first option we discussed, which is the recommended option. And then 3B, still Hohokam and Yavapai, just a different variation of the cells on the map. So here, and again, next week we'll be able to take a deeper dive into the enrollment implications. But if this is relating as it relates to 3A, which is our recommended option. And it's divided between Hohokam and Yavapai. The current capacity of Hohokam is 655. As of when we started our work as a committee on January 14th, the enrollment was 479 of Hohokam. If everyone who currently attends Pima, and important to note that when we're talking about these numbers, this relates to the current 134 or 35, depending on the day you look, students who live in the current Pima boundary. So Pima right now has 283 kids enrolled. Out of that 283, 135 live in the boundary. So this is just relating to them in terms of being in their new attendance zone. So option 3A, if all of those kids now, 75 would be zoned for Hohokam, 60 would be zoned for Yavapai. Additionally, students, of course, can always apply for open enrollment outside of their learning community, and Cindy and her team did confirm that no student has been denied enrollment from Pima, and ECHO for that matter, but Pima as relates to our time together tonight, in seeking enrollment for the Saguaro complex or any other complex outside of Coronado. So the points that the committee were making undergoing with 3A is the balanced utilization between Hohokam and Yavapai. It aligns for continued growth. There would be no additional costs for transportation, and it keeps the boundary within the complex. So our next steps, we are continuing with our concierge support. I know Mrs. Mitchell has kept you all apprised of the process, but we continue to reach out to families who have not enrolled yet. It's important to note that there are currently 73 Pima students who live in the boundary who have not yet enrolled, and the feedback we are getting, granted we haven't heard from all 73, but the feedback we are getting from those who are reaching out is that they are waiting to find out what the board's decision will be on Tuesday. Also, I failed to mention that part of our decision was also based on the Let's Talks and emails we have received. I think at last count, it was 5 or 6 Let's Talks, and maybe I received 2 to 4 emails, but all requesting option 3A to keep the boundary of Pima currently within Hohokam and Yavapai. I don't know if anyone else has received any others. That's just based on the feedback I have received. So with that, I will take a breath. And any additional clarifications, questions you might have prior to opening the floor up to our public comments.
We can ask clarifying questions, but not a discussion, is that right?
Madam President, that's correct.
So you have a clarifying question?
To clarify your comment about transportation, the implication for transportation of different options is if a family was in the enrollment zone but open enrolled outside, and now where they open enrolled becomes their enrollment zone, they would go from ineligible to eligible. Is that the driver of transportation costs?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Padinsky. If a student, so for example, in option 2B, so 3A was the one we're recommending, stays within Coronado Complex. The other option the committee liked, if they had to pick a second choice, was 2B, which Hohokam Yavapai, Navajo's in the mix, which now is in the Saguaro Complex. There would be some students who currently live within the Pima boundary who would now be zoned for Navajo. There are, please hold. If 2B, there would be 30 students who currently live in the Pima boundary who now would be zoned for Navajo. They would be eligible to take a bus. David Jacobson kind of crunched some rough numbers. We can have additional detailed numbers for next week, but it would be up between $85,000 and $90,000 to add a whole nother bus route to go from.
To the now
Yeah.
eligible.
Yeah.
And then the other question, I understand why the focus at Pima are the students who attend Pima that are in boundary, not the open enrollment students who come in, that it sounds like are roughly half the Pima population. To the extent that kids follow friends, and so to some extent where the in-boundary go will influence where the open enrollment go. Did the committee consider that when also thinking about the capacity of the schools?
Yes, to an extent. So if I'm understanding your question, when we look at the kids at Pima who are currently enrolled in Pima and where they have enrolled for next year, from the in-boundary, so kids who live in the Pima boundary, 24 are enrolled at Navajo, 7 are enrolled at Hohokam, and 2 are enrolled at Yavapai. When you sort just the current Pima kids who are open enrolled, meaning they live outside the Pima boundary, for next year, 26 are enrolled currently to go to Navajo, 20 to Hohokam, and 9 for Yavapai. So I'm not sure if that really answers it, but we did talk about, for example, as we're looking at this data and working with Mrs. Mitchell for both of our repurposed schools, if I have 4, we're sorting it by grade, so if I have 4 fourth graders all going to the same school next year, we want to make sure we're able to accommodate them, keeping them together in the same class. I'm not sure if that really is aligning with your question.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Just one question. If we could update the committee page, because it's not been updated since the last meeting. There's no minutes, and then there's no members listed. If we could
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I apologize for
finalize
that.
that page,
Yep.
because I was looking at it for information. Thank you.
Ms. McClellan, you okay? Okay. I have a question about notice. This is a Pima, the scope of this conversation is Pima only, but the implication of the schools is inferred, or do we need to be really vivid about that in this notice?
Madam President, the notice was sent out to the learning communities of Coronado, Saguaro, correct?
Yes.
And so because those 2 learning communities would be impacted, not just the giving school Pima, but the receiving schools as well. So there was compliance with the public notice according to the state law and your policy.
The second question for clarity I have, was there any discussion about federal funds that follow the students that would impact the schools?
Dr. Praninsky, we touched on that a little bit. Would it change any of the schools' free and reduced lunch? We wouldn't know until, especially the rest of those 78 kids where they chose to go. Did I capture that correctly, that we didn't yet have total clarity on perhaps the implication to Title I funding? Hey. Sorry to put you on the spot there, Dr. P.
Good evening. So Our federal funding is contingent upon our numbers that roll up October 1. So based on income eligibility at our current sites, the funding for our Title I schools to include Hohokam Yavapai will be based on what rolled up this past fall. So we won't have numbers until the dust clears for the following fiscal year until next October, which is when our next roll up to the state is.
All right. Very much. Thank you. Other questions on the presentation? Anything else, Dr. Bono?
Nothing for me.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate the hard copies because I like to touch and draw arrows and use highlighters.
I hope you found it organized, so thank
Very
you.
much. Thank you for your kindergarten teacher skills. All right. As we move into the public hearing piece, speakers will be limited to 2 minutes and must be present to speak. Speakers cannot delegate their time to another individual. In compliance with open meeting law, the governing board may not discuss or take action tonight on any matters raised during the public comments that are not on the agenda. However, the governing board may respond to direct criticism, ask staff to review a matter, or that matter may be placed on future agenda. Public comments will be conducted in accordance with policy BEDH. As a reminder, each speaker will have 2 minutes. The screen will indicate the time. Please be prepared to close your comments and relinquish the floor at the conclusion of your time. The board asks that each speaker please introduce yourself by stating your name and whether you live within our school district for clarity on the record. We thank you for your time and attendance here this evening and your cooperation in following the meeting decorum and protocols. I will read the name of the speaker. When you hear your name, would you please come up to the podium? I will read the name of the next speaker to be ready on deck. Once you start speaking, your time will start. It looks as if we have one speaker tonight, which is Debbie Schumacher. Is that our only speaker? Just the only one who signed up. The only one who signed up? Okay. Would you like to add yourself as a speaker? Yes. I'll make space for that. Anybody else? Okay, Debbie Schumacher, come on up.
My name is Debbie Schumacher, SUSD alum, resident and grandparent. Tonight you are reviewing your predetermined outcome for boundaries around Pima Elementary in a thinly veiled attempt at meeting legal requirements. I want to present to you 2 additional options for your consideration. 1, the entirety of Pima's boundaries are converted to the Saguaro community. Most Pima families' education path for many decades has been Pima to Mojave to Saguaro. Give the Pima families the education path they have been pursuing all along. This is the best option for your redemption with Pima families, even if this means you need to drop portable classrooms into the antiquated, asbestos-filled, fire-damaged, and leaky-roofed Navajo. Option 2, use Osborne as a north-south dividing line. All residents south of Osborne are bound for Coronado. All residents north of Osborne are bound for Saguaro. Most Pima residents will not consider an east-west division, especially since you have Yavapai and Tonelea on the chopping block for next year. Why would a family move them to expose their children to the dread and the unknown with the possibility of their school closing yet again? It is my hope that you choose wisely and make amends to the families and the constituents you have betrayed and make better choices than you have in the last recent months.
Thank you. And I don't know your name. Jennifer, if you'll come up and say your first and last name and whether you live in the district, please. Thank you, Debbie.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Hibbard, and I live at 3017 North 83rd Street, and I've lived there for 20 years. Since 2005, I received the mailed notice for the meeting and have reviewed the options. I'm also SUSD alumni. My children are currently enrolled at Navajo, 3rd grade, Mojave, 6th grade. So we've attended Navajo for 6 years. We are Pima district, so we do go obviously outside of our district. There are at least 6 or 7 parents who couldn't come tonight, and all of them either go to Navajo currently or Pima currently and will be choosing Navajo. Our preferred progression would be Navajo to Mojave to Saguaro. I don't recall, that was like a 2 ABC, one of those. Let's see. With the closure of Pima, we would love to have transportation options. That's why I'm here. So I'm north of Thomas, so that might be an option for a boundary if we're looking for Navajo, Mojave, Saguaro. Let's see. And I did choose the Saguaro complex, obviously Navajo, Mojave, Saguaro, for the STEAM STEM aspect. That's why we didn't choose to attend Pima. Both my kids are thriving. We have a lot of transportation that we do every day, so if it is a consideration to have bus transportation, there's at least 6 or 7 kids on my street who go to Navajo, Mojave, and Saguaro, and we carpool, or it's a lot of driving. And I know I have 21 seconds. Implications are obviously, most of the people that I know who already attend Pima have chosen, whether they've done it officially or not, to go to Navajo. So that should progress Navajo, Mojave, Saguaro. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. That concludes our public comments for the evening. Board members' comments? Clarifications? All right.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I think we've gotten some of this information before, but I want to see if we can get history on the Pima students and if they were going Mojave, Saguaro. If we could get, the past, 6 years, 7 years, history on numbers, that would be helpful.
Okay, we'll ask staff to provide that for us. Thank you, Ms. Warren. Ms. Carney. Thank you. All right. That brings us to a conclusion of this public hearing. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously, and we end the meeting today at 6:22. Thank you, everyone, for coming.